Okay, good morning, everyone. Uh, we won't be seeing each other because it's a whole class and it's not easy to use other, let's see, other sides that Blackboard has. Okay, I hope you're all well and I hope you're staying at home. And I say that you are the generation that has all the bad things happen to it because this is for me, this has never happened. Maria has never happened. Earthquakes had never happened. So your generation is the one to carry all these memories. Well, anyway, we have a PowerPoint presentation, which is not mine. Different people have worked on this, and I found it a couple of years ago, and I think it's pretty good. It's pretty basic. Avoiding plagiarism. Okay, many of you have complained when I check your work that you do not agree that Blackboard says, because I don't check, Blackboard checks, that you have used either a sentence or two sentences from, it gives me, including the site or the work that you have searched for. And I don't want to lower your grades because of plagiarism. Okay, we're going to talk today about plagiarism, which is, I think, is important. And this title, it says, A Journey Through Modified Apostyle of Referencing. Now, we talked about this in the classroom, and we talked about what is plagiarism. And if anybody has a doubt, please ask, and someone will answer from the class. What is an in-text citation? Okay, we talked about that. And we also mentioned reference list. Now, you have in your assignment and task button, you have many examples of many of the things that you're required to do. One is a reference list. You have a sample that I included. You have also, if I'm not wrong, I think you have one YouTube, which explains very simply what is the reference. And we also discuss extensively about paraphrasing. What does paraphrasing mean? It means when you read something and you're going to use that information, it means that you put it in your own words, but you give credit. You always give credit because that did not come from your mind. Um, it came from somewhere else. You read it somewhere else. It's somebody else's idea. So I think that's important. Okay? And the definition of what is plagiarism. Plagiarism means using another's work without giving them credit and saying that it is your own. Okay? Just to be clear, when you use something from someone, it doesn't matter if you're even citing yourself, you have to include where you got that information from. Okay, and to give credit, this was from Mirka, 2004, The Plagiarism Trap. It's a PowerPoint presentation. I got this from the internet. It's not mine. Examples of plagiarism: copying and pasting text from online encyclopedia. Um, Wikipedia. I told you time and time again, Wikipedia is not a reliable source to cite, to quote. If you want information about something, very simple information, you can go to Wikipedia and you probably will get that information. So copying and pasting text from online encyclopedias, Wikipedia, and any other web page. Okay, you use that. You use web page or web pages, and when I look, it's just a page that is not a reliable source. Okay, copying and pasting text from any website. Using photographs. Now, with the copyright laws, you're not authorized to use well, your paper does not have any pictures or photos or paintings or whatever. Video or audio without permission or acknowledgement. Okay, acknowledgement means giving credit to that person. Using another student's or your parents' work and claiming it as your own, even with permission. Okay, even if your parent says, okay, I wrote this in 1973 and you can use it, you have to give credit to that person. You have to say where you found your information because it's not yours. Using your own work, what I just said, without properly citing it. Excuse me for just a minute. Oh, Jesus, what did I do? I didn't plug it in. Oh, oh, Dios mío. I have to start all over again. This is, I have to go back here, and I have to go here, and I have to say, don't, not yet started. And we are recording. Okay, we're recording again. But we never stopped recording. Okay, our first slide. Good morning, everybody. Before we start, I hope you're all well. And I know this is hard for you, but just think about you're the generation that um, received a 5 category hurricane 2 years ago. A few months ago, we had earthquakes, and now we're in quarantine. So you have a difficult life ahead of you. Anyway, we've talked about, and I hope you're all well and your family is all well. Remember, keep to yourselves, wash your hands. Um, I know it's hard for you, don't socialize. But anyway, avoiding plagiarism, a journey through modified APA style of referencing. And it's not mine, it's not a PowerPoint that I wrote. It's something that I took down from the internet, which I revised and I think it's good. It's by handsome teacher librarian. And this person wants to have it's a PDF, so I can't modify it in any way. I'm not going to use all those slides because I think, well, anyway. Okay, do you know, and I hope you know what is plagiarism and what is an in-text citation, what is a reference list, And what does paraphrasing mean? I hope you understand that because we're almost at the end of March, thinking about last week. We missed classes, but we had talked about all this in class. And I told you, I think in our last classes, that now what we were going to do is we were going to correct what you brought in. But some people, I guess people that were absent, or didn't pay attention to what was going on in class have had a little difficulty with this. Okay, getting started. Plagiarism is using somebody's work and claiming that it's your own. And some of you have tried that, but Blackboard immediately knows. It even gives you the time, the name of the person that used this or said this, even a year, 2 year, 3 years ago. I don't know how longer. I think the institution has been using Blackboard for over 10 years. Over 10, so probably, and it has information also from the web. So don't try and it's harder for me when I always check if it says you should have uh, when you no more than 15%. And sometimes it's higher, but then I look in and it's your own work that the computer doesn't know. And it cites that it tells me the name of the person that wrote it. So if it's your own work, it's not a problem. Okay. Um, Examples of plagiarism: copying and pasting text from online encyclopedias, copying and this, by the way, okay, I'm going to interrupt. No Wikipedias. I told you at the beginning of the semester that is not a reliable source. Copying and pasting text from any website. Using photographs, video, or audio without permission or acknowledgement. Acknowledgement means that you identify the person, you give credit to the person. Using another student's or your parents' work and claiming it as your own, even with permission. Using your own work. Okay, let's say you wrote a paper 2 years ago and you're going to cite from that paper. You have to tell the person that's reading your paper where this information came from. Because if it didn't come from your mind, it's not it it's not good. How to avoid? Okay, how to avoid is use your own words and ideas. People, you usually do these things on a computer and you use Word. Word corrects your grammatical, your verb tenses. So pay attention to that. I don't expect correct grammar. And even anybody that writes knows that it's very difficult, it's a skill, but also that you sometimes need somebody to correct your work because you wrote it and you know what you mean and you wrote it and it seems to be okay. Everybody needs to have their work checked. Okay, so always use your words and ideas. Another thing that you can do, which some students find helpful, is make up an outline and write like your topic sentence, and use examples, use supporting details. And then you can develop it from there because the problem is if you don't have a sequence, sometimes you change from one topic to the other in the same paragraph. Write and use supporting details, and even from those supporting details you can add other supporting details. And that's the way, it's an easy way of doing it. Okay, always give credit to the source where you have received your information. Obviously, If you use somebody's exact words, put them in quotes and give credit using in-text citations. Include the source in your references. And I'm going to try and make some quotations. Okay, these are quotations. And it's very difficult. Those of you that I have corrected, I am writing with my mouth. These are quotations. When you quote, you make you write it just the way it was written. You use quotations because you're quoting someone. Okay? And let's see how to avoid. If you have paraphrased, you've written it in your own words, someone's work, summarizing un resumen, a passage, or rearranging the order of a sentence and changing some of the words, always give credit. Always. Take very good notes. Now you have an advantage that students that came before you did not have, and it was that everything to be written down. Now you can have two documents at the same time, and you can write it down on your computer and save it, and you don't have that problem anymore. Okay, write down the source as you are taking notes. Do not wait until later to try and retrieve the original source because sometimes we forget. Most of the time we forget. So if you write it down that you got this idea from so and so person, write it down. Avoid using somebody else's work with minor cosmetic changes. Okay? Now, and this is where I've survived because I've been at home, but if I had been at school, I would have probably gotten a heart attack. After you have so many examples of reference pages and you do them the way you it's it's a style, it's APA style. So you have to do it the way APA style says you have to do it. You have to put them in alphabetical order. And there's also a tool on Word that does it for you. It does the whole thing for you. I can't understand what I'm getting. I can't understand why I'm getting cover pages that the thesis statement is the first letter of each word, excluding contractions and excluding prepositions and articles, is not capitalized. I can't understand it. I can't understand why some students have handed in their papers and they don't put numbers on them. I can't understand why the table of contents has to be in blue. Maybe you have a program or something that change the color. Remember, it's Times New Roman 12. Okay, underneath your thesis statement, the information that I requested, this is not apostyle, is that I requested, it's in single space. The rest of your paper is double space, and some people send it single space. This I cannot understand. I can't. I cannot understand why this is happening because we have discussed this over and over. I have corrected it. And some of you say, okay, you corrected my cover page and it was okay. Okay. But then you write an introduction and you don't give credit. Okay. And then your table of contents is not okay. And your references aren't okay. So you only have like your cover page that maybe has one or two mistakes. So the whole thing is useless. Do it well from the very beginning. Look at the sources that you have in the assignments and tasks. Okay? A reference list is at the end of the paper provides the full information to identify and retrieve each source. It cites works that specifically support a particular article. They should be alphabetically listed by the author's last name. Alphabetically by the author's last name, not Pedro Perez. No, Perez, Pedro. Okay, it's the last name. And a bibliography that cites works. This is for future reading. If you're interested in the topic, it's for future reading. Okay, I'm not going to make comments on each one of these um, citation. Okay, what is a citation? References and citations in text are formal methods of acknowledging the use of a creator's work. And in-text citation, which um, you can do, uh, right? You can quote, but this one is not more open. Usually in literature, when you're discussing a literary novel or a short story, many times you quote one of the characters, and then you explain in your own words what you understand. And that sometimes it's a text. And when it's a text, it has a certain, you block it and it's single space, but let's not go into that because it's even more confusing. Okay? And now, what happens when you're in junior high school and post-secondary in society? It doesn't say university, but you know that laws are very strict. And if you're caught plagiarizing something, saying that something is yours and something is not yours, you can be expelled from the university. You know, your life is difficult, especially with a hurricane and an earthquake, and now we're in quarantine. Don't make it more difficult. Try and do the best you can, saying what is yours and what is somebody else's. Okay? I'm not going to just one of these cartoons I'm going to use. Okay, there's obviously two men, they're in jail, and one says Grand Theft Auto, you, the other one answers plagiarism. Okay, and you have where this cartoon was taken from, borrowed from. Sometimes authors, I'm not going to go into the essay also because it's a mother and daughter there. You can see it later. Um, she has to hand in an essay and she copied it over the internet. And she says everybody does it, you know? And her mother is trying to teach her that that's not correct. And she has to learn something from this experience, which is also important. Let's see. Okay, you see, each one of these slides has at the very bottom, it has where it was taken from. This is not, obviously, it's not a research paper. Okay. Uh, okay, this special consideration, the internet. Okay, this became a problem when the internet first started because sometimes you used to find information. Now everything is better organized. Okay, you have Google Scholar, you have the virtual library, and you can get honest, good information from these sites. But before, everything it still had not been put into place, and many people use the internet to find out all sorts of things. Okay, a special recognition needs to be given to the internet as a source of information. Due to the transcend nature of information on the internet, a copy, either paper or disk, should be retained. Why? Okay, and we have talked about this also in the classroom, and I've given you examples. What if I decide to write a book on football? What do I know about football? What if I decide to write a book on the creation of humankind? I don't know any of that. What if I decide to write an article about coronavirus? Oh, I know as much as you probably. I know it's a virus. I know it started in China. Um, I know that it's very contagious. It goes from one person to the other. I know that one person can transmit the disease, the virus, to 12. I know Spain and Italy are very hard hit. New York will be next. Um, I know that we haven't closed down our airport, but I know nothing about the scientific approach to the CV, the COVID-19. I don't know. I don't know. So I would have to look for information from doctors, probably scientists that have done some type of research because this is very new. Okay, they must be examined. The internet sites must be examined very carefully for reliability, as all sources are not authoritative or trustworthy. If I write about coronavirus on the internet, don't read it because I won't know what I'm writing about. If I explain that every particle generates into more little viruses or whatever. Let's say a couple of days ago, I think it was on Saturday, I received some information through the internet on my phone, and it was this person saying that ships were going to stop um, coming to Puerto Rico with food and cleaning products and other things that are necessary because we're an island and everything comes in on ships. And I listened to the audio and I didn't find it credible. I did not find it credible. I did, however, I had gone to the supermarket and I decided when I saw all the people that were there, I couldn't figure out what was happening because I hadn't received the audio yet. And I decided to come back home. And I didn't send it to anyone because it was uh, it was very unusual. And I said, I'm not going to send this because I don't think I think it was a very irresponsible person. Tell that to Puerto Ricans, then they'll go out in hordes. They were at supermarkets, they were at Costco, and it was all because somebody had used this information and had thought it was a reliable source, and it was not. Not everything that comes to the internet or Facebook is real or is true or should be accepted. So this is very important. A lack of author or often indicates that the information should be treated with caution. The work of other students may be consulted but should never be a sole source of information. Okay. Okay. You you will not use as many quotation marks that I said at the very beginning. I don't know if you're following my, let me see, if you're following, I'm playing around with this now. I probably, when you see it, you won't be able, maybe if I underline it. Okay, less than 40, I use my mouse very bad. Less than 40 words are included in the text, okay? A colon follows a statement immediately preceding a long quotation. And this is, we're talking about, let's say an author says a series of, a character in a novel says a series of questions or speaks about um, love or hate or death, and uh, you want to add your own thoughts about this. Okay, so and brackets enclose information about the source of the quotation. Okay, this would be the citation. Okay. Okay, we did some of these. This is slide number 28. Johnston and Cutchins, 1988, state, define, explain, think. You can use as many words. Remember, I also gave you an example um, I gave you an example of a thesis of a research paper. And you can see in the first page, remember that you would have to indent your paragraphs, by the way. Okay, they state that life is hard for animal babies of all kinds, but for young reptiles, surviving their first year is especially difficult. In this case, they specified the exact page because they quoted, and that's the exact page where they got the information from. Okay, let's see. To put two authors in the brackets, you must use the ampersand, and this is the ampersand. Let me underline it. Johnston and Cutchins, 1988, page 36. Okay? For more than three authors, you can use the phrase et al., which means that they're other people. We did this also in class. Okay, let me see. Okay, it doesn't relate to you. Okay, for electronic sources, you shouldn't have this problem. This was written some time ago. In 220, usually a reliable source, you will have more information. Okay, and it gives you also a style. Okay, why use the American Psychological Association APAS format regarding references? It is the most widely recognized and authoritative source for references and citations in research work. This format is used in local university. And there are other types. I told you there's MLA, there's the University of Chicago. Um, let's see where else. I think Harvard has a certain way of doing things. So this is just a style. But even if it's a style, you have to follow the format. Okay? And this is the part. Give the full information on how to access your sources. Go to the back of your document on a the references go at the back of your document on a separate piece of paper. The word references is bolded and is centered at the top, just like this example. This is the example. I hope this stays. I don't know if it does. Okay, you have references. I'm going to try a new color now. I'm going to try the red one. Ah, references. Okay, and now we're going to have some more examples. Okay, this one, it has, remember that encyclopedias were very, um, let's say, were very used. I loved encyclopedias because they had so much information in each book. But now you don't use, gone out of style. Okay, so I'm going to skip this. I'm going to skip the encyclopedias because we books. Okay, you have one author, Lane, comma B, Bill, whatever, 1998. Period. Miren cómo está escrito el título. Crime and Detection. Okay, and you have a Reader's Digest Illustrated Great World Atlas, and that's idolized and no author. Okay, editor, Kingston, comma, name, period, edited, period, 1998, el título, the Guinness 1999 Book of Records, England, Guinness, 2 to 5 authors, Francis, comma, R.D., R period, D period, comma, Jones, comma, R, Robert, let's say probably, period, comma, and Smith, comma, DB, D has a period, B, 1988. Look at the way the title is written. That's the way you should be sending me. And I gave you a sample, much easier than this PowerPoint presentation, much, much easier. Okay, so then we have references. Okay, the following is an example of a formal list of references. Here are some important reminders as you prepare your list. Center the word references at the top of the page. Alphabetize the list. Leave a blank, one blank space between entries, not two, uno, one space. Italize titles when word processed. Underline titles, I'm not going to accept no handwritten, so use hanging indentation. Okay, that's when you press the second line of your references, you give tap to that. That's a hanging indentation, and the rest of it also. You don't no enter, not enter, not on the computer enter. You use the tab. Okay, and let's look at this beautiful, beautiful references. Okay, it's in alphabetical order. It has the last name, comma, first name, period, year, after the parenthesis, period, Pearson, Lester Bowles, and the title and the book is in World Book Online, and it's retrieved, and that's a hanging indentation, but they all have to be the same. You see that they're all the same. Let me get the pencil again. I'm going to use the red one. I'm playing around. You know, it's being quarantined is not easy. Okay, this is a hanging, and they all have to be the same. They all have to be the same. See? See? That's a hanging indentation. And then let's see what other color I'm going to use. I'm going to use the red one now. Okay. Titles. Italize. En italica. That's the way you do it. Okay. Etc. the 2000 Canadian World Encyclopedia. But we don't use these anymore, but the World Encyclopedia, these are just examples. But you see the way that um, this is the way I want to see your references. Not one space and then like down here, the second, the second reference. No. And this should be, it should have a hanging indentation. Okay. And again, okay, okay, you see even here it has the hanging indentation and the titles are in, I'm going to change colors again. It's kind of interesting to change colors. Electric citations in text of electronic. Okay, and you know that that's the title of whatever it is that you're doing. Okay, up until now, we've talked basically about plagiarizing. Okay, plagiarizing, passing your work off as somebody else's when it's not true. And we've given examples about references, which I think at this point, it's like the most important aspect of your work, and it should be included. Um, there seems to be some sort of, um, some of you have some sort of problems with their grades. If we ever get back to the university, which at this point I sincerely doubt, um, and you know, there's nothing more true than your life can change in 1 second. That's always important to keep in mind. I honestly don't think that we're going to be able to go back to the university because unless the university provides one of these things that people that are in nursing have the full suit and the gloves and the plastic whatever. Um, But we had done a lot of work in class. Most of you had pretty good attendance. Those of you that did not go to class will start reading references. And when I say it's incomplete, don't ask me why it's incomplete. Find out yourself. If I say compare your references with the sample, well, do that. Do that. Um, and all will be well. But it's not easy when I have these maybe 10 students asking, why is this wrong? Or I handed in my work. You handed it in, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. I don't give points for handing in information. Now, we have to make some adjustments because you're not used to not seeing me, although some of you will be probably very happy not having, including the teacher, let's be honest, having to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be at the university at 8. And even though I think it's going to be difficult for you, I established that we're going to meet instead of 8, 8:30. And we will have questions, we will have answers, and I hope we can get through. I will be posting. We still need some students have asked me what is chapter 1. Chapter 1 is your first, I'm talking in terms like you were writing a book or something. Chapter 1 is your first topic. It's the first topic of your thesis statement. So whatever you wrote as the first topic, you're going to develop, you're going to look for information, and you're going to give credit. Always.
If I've specified, listen to this very carefully, and I will put it probably in announcements. Listen to this. I have always been very generous, giving you 2 or 3 opportunities. If I said, fix this for next time, and you do not fix, you will get a lower grade. Because now, instead of one online course, I have 4 online courses, and I can't see you, and I think it would be irresponsible on my part to continue to letting you do this way. But anyway, I'll announce it. But I tell you, look always for the information. And when you write to me, please tell me what section you're in. Tell me your whole name. I don't know. B. Rivera 58 eh, at uham.edu. I don't know who you are, and you're asking about a grade or something, always include your information. Okay, my name is such and such, and I am in your 47, 40, 48, or 47, 48, and 57. Those are my regular courses, and write through me through Blackboard always, because I sometimes I have a lot of things to do and I don't go into the institutional mailing mail the email, and I'd rather answer through Blackboard, because then sometimes I have to be looking and seeing if I receive so many emails that it's not just my students. In Blackboard, it's only my students, and I'm taking this. What's today's? Today's Wednesday. I'm taking this Friday off because I have to do some things, and I probably will check something in the morning, but that's it. Maybe. But I usually check Blackboard sometimes twice a day. And now that I'm at home all the time, um, I can't resist sometimes going in to see if somebody has sent me an email or something. Well, anyway, good luck. Any questions, remember through Blackboard. And I'm more than pleased. I hope you're doing well. I know it's difficult, but this is better than Maria. Always think that. In Maria, we had no Netflix, we had no TV, we had no food, we had no electricity, we had no water. So this is like a second Maria, but we have to stay at home, and we do have to stay at home. Okay, so be well. Until next time. Bye bye.